it started with my mom and dad. The second child of many children. Let me just put it that way. And the foundation that we were given is exactly when we go towards Pastor Babatunde was saying, when he was saying all those things, I was going to talk about that area, but I'm like, yes, that has been laid already. It's by the foundation that's given to us, like Doctor and then Doctor's brothers mentioned earlier on. My foundation was like, we're strictly trained by the way of the Lord. And when I talk to the way of the Lord, I'm talking about the love for God and the fear of God. And this is what every one of us have at the moment. My brothers and my sisters, all my siblings, they are all ministers of God, proclaiming the love and the fear of the Lord all around the world completely. And it is because of the upbringing that we have. So going on to my journey as parenting, when I started having children, like Doctor said, my children are all grown up. My oldest is going to be 31 in a month's time, a girl. And my second one is 26. And my last is 21, over 21 as well. So when I was bringing them up, you can see from that I started really quite young. I started having children at the age of 24. And what helped me, and the thing is that by that time I was already in this country and I wasn't with any parents or any even family at that time. But I noticed that the foundation of the fear of the Lord and the love of the Lord that my parents has laid by the grace of God stayed with me. And that is the foundation of my of bringing my children, like training them. Even at that time, even myself, I can't even say that, yes, I'm right out there talking about Jesus or talking about God, but because of the nature that I have, being shy. But everyone, even myself, can see that the fear of the Lord is in everything that I do, in every way I go. Everybody can sort of testify to that. And that is what I carry on with my children. Like all the previous pastors have been saying, it is have to be intentional. And at that time, my being intentional of it is what was given to me, like everybody's been saying. And as I was able to carry on to my children in that way. But I just want to, it is easy for us when they are quite young. We take them to church, we ask them to do everything. Even we teach them in the way of the Lord, the Bible story and everything. They are quite happy to go along with it and to listen to it and to even heart it and even let you know that they are doing exactly what the stories in the Bible are doing. So it's quite easy at that time. But when I got to the teenage years, and to be truthful, I didn't even find it so much challenging at that time, in the sense that my children sort of pick a bit of my nature in being like they're gentle, quiet, they never much trouble for me when it comes to the word out there. But I want to talk in the way of them, the way they receive the training that was given to them. And how do I know this? I have a regular chat with them to try to know the impact. As soon as I started doing parenting, let me stop there and go to what led me to parenting with grace and to be so passionate about parenting. My first passion comes to children. My first work in the house of God is actually when we were growing up, all my sisters and my brother, they are part of the choir, part of this and that. But at that time, I really actually not doing much in the church than attending church. I attend church, but I'm one of the a church member that we listen to the sermon and that we take from it and that we apply it to my life. That is how I've been brought up, and that is what I do even up to now. But when I started in the work of God, I started having children at that time, and I thought, what do I want to do for God? The only passion I have is to work with the children. So I started working in the children Sunday school, like a children ministry, training the children, and I actually have so passion for them. They're quite easy to talk to, and they find me easy to talk to. So I attracted quite a lot of those children, and they talk quite a lot to me, even the younger one, and especially the teenagers. So I also teach in teenage group as well. when we started our, when God called my husband into ministry, and we started the church in 2015, the first set of members is definitely our family, which is our children. The oldest, the oldest, sorry, oh, the noise. The oldest was about 13 at that time, 13, 14 about at that time. So, and what I heard from them is that how forceful we are for trying to give them our faith. So this is the angle that I want to take it. The angle of what the children says about the way we try. So I asked them, what do you mean by we being forceful? Because we're quite open family, and they actually said themselves that the most important positive of parenting that we give them in my household, because I ask them this question regularly because it is sort of what I do. So I wanted to see their feedback before actually going out there. When God called me to start dealing with parents, I started with praying mothers. We gather together as mothers and pray for our children, because at that stage, my children has reached the age that, yes, like Pastor Babatunde said before, that we can lay the foundation, we can set them down, but until they have that encounter with God, that is when they can actually take it. So we're teaching them how to be God smart. They know all the answer to the rules and regulations that God lay. But it's a different thing when they are God-centered. When they are God-centered is when they form a relationship with God themselves. And it can be through only the encounter and visitation of God. And we cannot force the encounter or visitation of God. As a parent, we cannot play God like he said. So now comes to prayer, and that's what made me to go to prayer ministry. So we started praying for mothers. So that started like over 8 years ago. Praying, gathering together and praying for mothers, praying for children. It is quite hard to get men to be involved with that. So we did it as a praying mothers, get ourselves together. Well, after doing that, and there was a time that God, I was in a retreat, and God now talked to me about, yes, prayer is good and prayer is the key, master key, but there's some things that prayer will not do, that we need to do as a parent ourselves. And that is what all we have been measuring here, that intentional parenting, that you need to be intentional about it. This is how God gave me that name as parenting. We did that. We have the grace to pass what is God to our children. And that's how I started that. But let me now go back to what I said, that the feedback and review of our children. They said we are forceful at that time. And I said, in what way do you mean that we are forceful? And they said, when we started the church there, you people, like their dad mostly, forced them to be in every meeting, which can be like anytime. We can decide that we are doing 3 days fasting and prayer. We can decide that we do 3 days. And sometimes we have other members that even have their home ministry within that church. And then we have a day that they are doing their ministry, maybe deliverance service or something like that, that we force them to go to every one of them. Yeah. And all these things, sometimes they don't really get anything from it, but they feel that it's so forceful at that time that it is only by God's grace. The senior one, which is about 31, was telling me that it's only by God's grace that didn't affect them negatively, because it could. And she was giving me an example how some people are affected negatively with something like that. So that made me pause, and I think that, okay, when they said we've been forceful at that time, it is true that even me as a mother at that time, I felt it that these people can wait. But what my husband always said at that time is that, let me give you an example. It's like we want them to learn some the work they can do in the church, and especially around instruments. And my husband will force them that he's taking them to piano and taking them to band sets and all these things. He didn't even give them a choice to pick what they actually want to do. He said, yes, you, Toby, you will do this. You will do this. That is the point that they brought out to her, that should have let us pick what we want to do. And even by force he was taking them, I can assure you that it wasn't successful, because they went along. You can force, I don't know how they say, you can force a horse or something to go to the water, but you cannot force them to drink the water. So, I mean, I was trained as a career advisor, and I know that it is better to actually create a desire for something for children than forcing it down. Like we said, that we cannot force it down. So that is first thing that pick up from our children that is like more or less like the challenges. They didn't show you at that time, but when they grow up now, they are now saying it. And I can see that even when they are grow up now, it's there. Don't get me wrong, they still live in my house, even all three of them. And they still also go to the same church with us. But they even expressed that they would like to go to the other church, because even though we started the church, we are still not as big as some churches. And because of that, we do not have all level of ages that matches their ages. So they said they miss out in some of those things that they would have done even with their age, that could have helped their growing and everything like that. So that is one thing I picked, that even our children, they also have what they carry. That, for example, when they grow up, I noticed that after, yes, this is what I want to say. I noticed that after they started uni, that is where you will now see things. When they started uni and they're going to uni, Pastor Babatunde mentioned that as well. That's where you actually know what have you imparted in them. What is the foundation you need, and how is the foundation working? So when all my three is being through uni by the grace of God, the last one is, she will be on her final year next year in September. So, but what I find out in them, that the first one, when she went to uni, she tried churches around there, and she told us, luckily enough, she went to uni around us in London, but it was far away, so she had to live she had to live around the uni at that time, because it was really far from her place. But she makes it that every Saturday evening she comes back home so that she can attend the church, because she was saying she couldn't fit into any churches there. She's not used to the way of service there. That's how she did it for the complete 3 years that she was in uni. My son went to somewhere far more, and I can tell you that for the 3 years that he stayed there, he did not attend church. Even we first had to say, okay, just go to the English church and just go there, it will be something. He said no, he didn't fit in there. And my youngest one, I noticed that she did, even before then, she found Christ. She actually accepted Christ just before the uni. And she actually established herself well. But she even said herself that she preferred some ways of the way they were teaching there and how things has done there better than the way we do it in our church. And she sort of taking quite a lot. She even started a blog called Jesus Girl, where she shared the ways of the Lord, the love of God, and all these attributes of God, even to ages like her as well. She had that blog now, she just posted it on YouTube and everything like that. But she's still saying the way that we do it is not really the way that you can even recommend. Some of our blog, if you listen to, you said, oh, in my Nigeria church, they will do it this way. And she was telling you what. So what am I trying to get out of there? Sometimes, like we said, lay that foundation and then let them pick from that foundation. When they go out, I've seen, the reason I'm saying this is that there was a question on the platform that I was on Thursday. And somebody was asking a question that if my daughter, my children want to go to another church apart from my church, what do I do? Do I let them go? And there was different view and different opinions about that. And the one that stands the strongest is that no, you should never allow them. They have to stay, as long as they live under your roof, they have to stay in your own church. And somebody comes from the other side of it and say, what about if the church that this, because remember, it's not necessarily mean that the church that the father is also minister, or what? How do you say it? The father is not the one that established the church, but it's the church that the family goes. So the woman is saying that, okay, what about the church that this girl is referring, a living church? They call it a living church. It's a church that is even more living and better than the one that the family are attending. Why can't they work with the children and see the reason why they wanted to go to that church? Is either maybe we'll be able to incorporate what they see in the other church into our church to be able to allow more flexibility, or what exactly should I do? So this kind of thing that's actually making me so much interested in parenting, because by one way or the other, we try to, what we know and what we believe. Yes, like we are saying, you cannot pass what you don't know. Well, what you know, you hang on to it and pass it on. But I wanted to say that even us as parents, we really need to review things so many times. By the time you come to my younger one, we have reviewed so much about what we do when the older was, and that's what it was easy for her because she was even saying, I said that, well, by the time it comes to myself, I didn't really find it forceful. When it was being forceful, I was still young, so I didn't know. But what my older ones were describing as being forceful, she didn't experience that bit. Because by that time, even now, I can tell you, even myself know that my husband is even back a bit down about the way and his approach at that time. There's different way of leading children to God, and they're different children. They will take it different way. And that is the thing. The way I know with my children that they know the way of the Lord and they fear the Lord and they know what they can get from the Lord is because, to be honest, I'll be very honest with us. I do get worried sometimes when I see some action, maybe maybe dressing. I'm saying, oh God, Christians shouldn't dress like this. They will already say, no, stop mom, or something like that to try to stop me. But then I will go and pray and say, God, please let these children this. I will start praying again. I will start increase my fire of praying concerning them. That how can I be talking about parenting and these children not showing this? But when I come to something in the Bible, that God, the Father Himself, He is the Father of Adam and Eve. He taught them the right way, but He did not force them. So the teaching that we are giving them, my husband always said this though. And said, even when they were young and I would block them from going out, my husband would say, let them go out. They have to be streetwise. And this will help them as well. But you have taught them what you know and what God has actually. Let that manifest itself. You can't lock them in. And so when I read that thing, that even Adam and Eve were taught the way of the Lord, God taught them, but it doesn't still force them to make decisions. They're still able to even make the wrong decision. God always has a way of escape to bring them back. And God did that in their life. So what I wanted to pass on is that our children, we need to be flexible, and we need to accommodate and understand them while we are training them as well. Don't let us be so thoughtful. That is the class that I can pick up, which is a challenge. But how do I know that my children, like my son as well, which is the most challenging one for me, because he is such a caring person, so gentle, but he can speak his mind and he can question you anytime. Sometimes you ask them to pray some prayer and they stop you in the middle and pray. There was a time I was saying that God led me that I should call my son and have special one-to-one prayer with him. And he agreed. By that time, it was about probably 23 or something like that. He agreed. So we started praying. One day I just said the prayer points and I said, I've seen some pattern in the family line. And then we need to pray a prayer to break any family limitation, family curse or something like that. And I said, this is the prayer point. And he stopped me. He said, Mom, hold on. I remember, and it quoted the day and the time that we were doing 7 days revival. And that was one day of that 7 days was that particular prayer we pray. He said, so that prayer God didn't answer that prayer then. I said, well, yeah. He said, but why are we praying it again? I said, well, God said we should ask until our joy is full. So I can still see some pattern. That's why I said we should pray. Okay, let's just thank the Lord for that prayer because God has answered it. I have to change it because it corrected me that we have prayed this prayer. And so all this prayer you say we are praying. And another example you brought is that, okay, his friends, we not go to church, we not even pray, and they will get a job they want. And he was looking for a part-time job at that time. And he was not able to get the job on time. So, but he realized prayer works because there's 3 different locations that he has requested prayer and God worked and God showed us in a miraculous way. I probably don't have the time to share it, but it was in a miraculous way. Even myself was so surprised. I have to thank the Lord that thank you for showing up and showing this boy that you do answer prayer, because it was like when God make impossible possible, and they can even see with their whole eyes and they can remember us. Me holding up hands with them and praying with them for that particular thing. There was a time that went away and his friend was lost. And they was about to catch a plane and they couldn't get this friend, a white guy. They couldn't find him anywhere. And he quickly said, Mom, please start praying now. Start praying now. Start praying now. So person, we can't find him. Since when? Just start praying, Mom. Start praying. I can't stay long. He believes in prayer, that prayer works. So I know we have passed quite a lot down to there, but it's now us, parents, to leave it to God to do the work himself. We cannot do God's work like we all say. I don't need to repeat myself. But I know God will continue to strengthen us to be able to, everywhere that we have missed it, because I always believe I've missed it. Every time I see any sign of anything, I will go, oh God, where did I miss it now? I will tell my husband, you haven't missed anything. You've done all what you can do. Don't start blaming yourself. Just start praying. And as Pastor said earlier, we continue to pray for them. And I know God answer prayer, that eventually God's way will manifest in their life. I wasn't like that as well when my father was putting everything in us, but I can now see now that every one of us fear the Lord and do the work of the Lord. And I know same will be for our children. Every desire of our hearts, according to the will of God, the Lord will grant it, because he said he did not call us in vain. There's always a reward for everything that we do. God bless you. Thank you very much, ma. God bless.
Thank you, Pastor Christine. Thank you so much for that. God bless you, ma. God bless you in Jesus' name. I actually called her so that we can have some form of testimony. So it's not just about talking or teaching, but I actually called her to share her testimony so that we know that on this platform it's about real people, real life. Sometimes, especially we pastors or preachers, we can come on the pulpit and start preaching, but some of these things we might not be manifesting in our lives. So we just want to see that we are everyday people. We are everyday people. Christians are everyday people, but we live in the supernatural. That is just the difference. We live in the supernatural. So thank you very much. I remember I can reckon with what you said. I remember my firstborn then when he was that was like 8 years ago or 8, 9 years ago.